Alright guys, how's it going? This is, I don't know what to call the show yet, but this is nighttime. This is our nighttime show. This is part 2. If you want to check out the other one, it's posted in the Discord education section, and it's also on my YouTube channel. If you want to check out either one of those, feel free to. You can review that. I'm going to recover some of the information we've already talked about and hopefully cover a few new things that have been helpful to me and things that I've thought about after doing a little bit of research and talking to some other people and just thinking back about some of the stuff I've learned while trading in Newsbeat Live. So this is entirely for educational purposes only. Nothing I say should be taken as fact or anything other than just my opinion, which I'm giving for educational purposes and to be criticized by people who disagree with me. So take that with a grain of salt, everything I say here, and we'll get into it. So y'all know what OODA loop is, or at least if you've been in the T3 room, you watched the original education videos that Mark did back in the day. I knew what OODA loop was from being in the Marine Corps, and those of you who have been in the Army, I assume they teach it in the Army, the Navy. I'm not positive. I do know it's a Marine Corps thing. It's taught all over in the Marine Corps. It's something that starts off early, and depending on what you get into, they kind of talk about stuff like this a lot. It's one of the ditties that you have to yell, that you have to know by heart, and it stands for observe, orient, detect, and act, and that's a loop. And really what it does is it just explains the decision making that we're doing every single day, all the time, whenever you make a decision. And it was developed, in case you didn't know, for fighter pilots to give them an edge in combat. And it's really interesting. You can go do a lot of research on it, find a lot of good stuff on it. My favorite author slash podcast host slash everything else, Jocko Willink, does a lot of good stuff on it and talks about it and writes about it in some of his books. So what we do as traders is OODA loop constantly. It's constantly scanning the market, constantly trying to find other names, finding something that works and something that that we can make money in, that we have strategies in. I would say we probably have 20, 25 strategies that work in this room and that work every day, that we can make money in every single day, without a doubt. But the question is, how do we find them? What allows us to find the strategies to make the money? One thing, and the thing I talked about last time, was being able to detach, being able to not be drawn into a trade and sucked into a trade and miss something else that's happening and miss something else that is out there that can make us money. And when we get so, what's the word? Sucked in, like we talked about last week, into something like Tesla or like Amazon. Because let's say the day before we made, whatever a big number is for your account. Let's say you've never made 5 figures before and you come in and you make 10 grand on Tesla. Or you made $1,000 on Tesla and you've never made $1,000 before, whatever it is. And you make that amount of money. You come back the next day, you're excited, you're drawing, like, I'm going to hit Tesla again, I'm going to make another 1,000, I might even double my size and make double whatever I made in the previous day. And we're sucked in and we're not able to emotionally detach from what we want and what we see. And I do this often. I've done it some in names like AMD recently because I thought AMD was going to break all-time highs. It did. I actually didn't make any money on it going up and breaking all-time highs, even though I was like, man, this is going to go here. And it was just because I kept getting sucked in. It didn't trade well for me. But because I kept wanting to do it and kept wanting to trade that name and wanted to catch it, I've missed, and I actually started yesterday, not today, yesterday, down a decent amount of money, a lot of money. And thankfully, I was able to detach before it got too bad, and I ended up making my day back and ended up flat yesterday. I traded Sava at the end of the day and got flat. And I like talking about my losing days because I think there's a lot more to learn in your losing days. So I'll talk a little bit about yesterday really quick. So yesterday in the morning, we had a kind of a choppy action day. A lot of the trades were not working. A lot of the trades would like chop up just a little bit and go down, so you would get these breakouts that kind of look like, let's see if I can find one on one of these charts here. um, where it would kind of, let's say it broke out, let's see, kind of where it would break out if we're using this little AMD up in this top corner, the top right corner of my screen. And it would break out, and then it would pull back down, and then it would go up, and then it would pull back down, and then it would go up. So for how I like to trade, yes, this is being recorded. So how I like to trade, that makes it very, very hard for me because I don't, generally speaking, hold losers. I get in, and as soon as I get in, if I'm not up money, it's rare that I'm going to hold something for more than a few seconds, especially if a name's popping around, depending on the size I take. So what I'll do is, so I was losing money basically. Long story short, I was losing money, but I was so focused on one name or two or three names. I think I tried this in a few things yesterday, and it wasn't working. I could not figure out, and I couldn't detach because I was just losing money. I was losing money, and nothing was working, and I wasn't detaching. So what in the OODA loop, in the decision-making process, wasn't I doing? I wasn't observing. I wasn't stepping back and being like, yo, you're down. You know, I ended up 5 figures down before I fixed myself and then corrected and came back to flat at the time. But let's, what could I have done a lot sooner? I could have slowed down and observed the market. Observed that the market was kind of sideways. Eddie was talking about it in the T3 room. Guys in here, CT, I think Booth, others were saying, this choppy action, it's not really working. Stuff's not working. I could have stopped. I could have slowed down. And then instead of later in the day having to make back my money, I could have actually made 5 figures later in the day by trading small and not blowing up early and then having to come back. Because you never know if you're going to get a chance to come back or if a stock's going to work. If Sava hadn't came back yesterday, I would have had a red day. And today was my biggest day of the year, or second biggest day of the year, trading today. I made more today than I've made any single day this year. I believe it was right there at it. If yesterday I would have had a down day, a 5-figure down day, that could have screwed up my day so much today. Why? Because I would have come in more than likely emotional. More than likely, I would have not had a clear head when I entered the market. And it would have made it a lot harder for me to observe and for me to see the market. I may have, I don't know, come into the market and wanted to see something and force things early and been down early. Instead, I didn't. Today, I was able to properly use the OODA loop, properly observe the market, orient myself to the names that are trading and how they're trading, decide if I want to take it, and then act. And all that happens within a few seconds. But if you have emotional toxicity built up from a previous day's loss, from fighting with your wife or husband, or from lack of sleep, or from something else that's eating at you, it interrupts this process. And it does not allow you to do the first thing, which is why I'm stucking on detach for the last video or two. It does not allow you to detach, which then allows you to observe. If you're sucked in and you have tunnel vision, what can you not do? You cannot see anything outside of that particular tunnel. And there's something in flight, if anyone here has ever flown an airplane, where I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure someone can educate me. But it's where you crash a perfectly good airplane. And dive bombers used to do it, and some of them can still do it nowadays when they, different types of bombers, when they focus so much on their instruments instead of actually backing up and looking around. So they might be dropping a bomb and they're watching the laser guided part of the bomb instead of watching all their other instruments, and they fly a perfectly good plane into the ground. It's something that I think they try to train out of people in simulations, but as people are learning to fly and drop bombs and stuff in the military, this happens a lot during training. You wouldn't think it would happen, but it does, because we get so sucked into something. And in trading, especially if we've made money in a name, Tesla, Amazon, names we've made money in, we get so sucked into them that we have tunnel vision, and we are going to smack right into the mountain, which is a blown up P&L. We're going to completely wipe everything out, all because of that blocker that we've created for ourselves due to bad habits, And there are lots of different bad habits we can talk to or talk about that we could add in here that block your ability to observe. So in your day-to-day life, in your trading in the morning, in your journal, write down things that affect you. What is blocking you mentally from making a good trade, from making a clean trade, from finding things that break out? Because here's what happens, in my opinion. You miss that observe, and then you start tilting, and then you start slamming because you couldn't actually properly trade early. Now there's something that's stopping you, and if you don't step back and then quickly go through that, observe, orient myself to a proper stock, decide if I want to take it based on strategies, based on things that are effective for me, based on my style of trading, stochastics, moving averages hit, what it's been doing, the market overall in general. If you can't quickly make that on in a very quick second as a scalper, you're going to get wrecked. You're absolutely going to get destroyed because that process has been interrupted. That decision-making process has been stopped. And instead of properly looking around and seeing your environment, making the best decisions, you're tunnel visioned in and you're rocking yourself. Then you miss a few of these breakouts. And so let's go to, I'm going to use this chart. We're going to go to, excuse me, we're going to go to I think we're going to go to GME today. Yeah, let's look at GME really quick. So excuse me, I have to click on the I can't zoom in while I'm on Discord because I have to hit a button to talk. All right, so GME started going early, and we called it out here. There were several people that called it out here. There were several other names that people were trading. Some were working, some wasn't. And I'll show you really quick what I do in the morning. So I'll come back to GME. So as, let's say you have me, Mitchell, CT, Rose, different people in here talking, people talking in chat, Curbster, Eddie calling stuff out, when Geronimo's here calling stuff out. When people are calling stuff out, if there's a name I don't like that's down here, I usually throw that name in here because I can't trade all the names. I trade one stock at a time. Other people do more. No matter what, I trade one at a time. So I'm moving. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. I'm moving my cursor around. There we go. I'm moving my cursor around. I click and I change, and now I'm watching the stocks that other people are watching. I try to allow myself to detach, and even if I miss a trade, to kind of have an overall view of the market and what things are happening, what things are moving, when they're moving, where they're moving, what the cues are doing. And I try to sit back and watch. And sometimes I don't take a trade for 5 minutes. Sometimes I take a 1 minute or a 2 minute breakout, and we all kind of talk through stuff. And it doesn't take long to figure out if something is working or not. I think AFRM we had early today, GME, AMC, something else. So we had multiple stocks that were all working. So I decide which one I want to play. My observe, which one do I want to play based on past experience with the stock, ability to move, the way the options move, the size I want to take, all this other stuff. I instantly go to that. Doesn't mean that other names aren't going to work. It just means that's what I want to play. Today for me, it was GME. So thankfully, because we had several people in here, because of yesterday being able to come back and not be toxic. And the reason I came back, I got sidetracked there for a second, but the reason I came back yesterday was because I was down, I don't remember the exact number, I'll say it was 12,000 for the sake of this video. I was down because I was trading too aggressive, wanting something to work that didn't work until later in the day. And I didn't rotate properly. I ended up stopping, doing something, might have went and played with my kids or something, came back, and was like, okay, let's wait and let's see what's going on in the market. Let's see if anything's working. I looked around. A few things were working. I did not try to make it all back in one or two trades. I slowly scalped around, made back, let's say 2,000, I think. I think I got about like the 9.5 or something back on the day. I'm like, hey, this is a success. I'm good with this. I'm not 5 figures down, I'm 4 figures down. Then I got off, and I had jiu-jitsu that I go to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So instead of staying here, skipping class, because I've got to make this money back. Now, for some people, it may be different. For me, I was just like, I'm going to go. It's okay if I'm down. It's okay if I don't make anything back. There'll probably be a move later in the day I can make money on. So I chilled, went to jiu-jitsu, got choked out, and submitted by a black belt like 3 or 4 times. Ton of fun. Came back, played with my kids some more. Didn't even run back to the computer when I got back. Didn't even look at the market. Put my kids down to bed. Sat down and waited. Didn't jump into anything. Read the chat, skimmed the market, skimmed the names that I wanted to go through. I have these different intraday stuff here. You can see like 1 minute, a 2 minute, other, like a few other ones. So I have a bunch of different stocks in there. I decided to click through them, and I found, and then eventually Sava, I think someone called it out in the room. So I ended up taking Sava, and I just scalped it, small scalps. I think I had 1,000 shares. May or may not be small, but I just scalped 1,000 shares at a time, in and out, in and out. I was calling it out in the chat, in and out, in and out. And automatically, before I even knew it, before I looked up, because that was working, it was a name that was working, before I even knew it, I was back to green. I look up, I'm back to green. Now here is the second time the OODA loop kind of came into place for me. Once you get back to green, you know what I did? I lost focus. I lost focus, and I looked outside of my chart, and something got into my decision-making process. I just made roughly 10 grand back. Heck yeah, I'm about to make another, and I'm going to get it back right here. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. I was not making a clear decision. I got sucked into the market and sucked into my emotions of trying to make a good trade. Instead of doing that, I had to back up. So because I didn't do that, as soon as I started doing that, I lost, and I think I was down maybe 1,500 or something like that. Thankfully, I did not tilt. I remembered in my head, I was like, okay, yo, you just talked about this. You need to detach. Sit back. Let's see what's happening. If you lose, and it's okay. You lose money, it doesn't matter. Let's wait. Let's see what's going on. Let's find a name that works, and let's get back to green. And then follow your rule, which I have a rule for myself. If I'm red, what I would call significantly red, and I get back to green, I log out. It's instantly log out because of the toxicity sometimes that comes with trying to catch the next move. Yes, some days you're going to make more. More often than not, I just historically get green and then go back red, and I feel like trash. So I waited. I looked around, found a move or two, and then ended up green, I think like $500-600 or something yesterday. Great feeling. The benefit of that was I came in today able to observe, orient myself to good trades, decide to take the trades, and then act on those trades. Because I didn't have that toxicity from the previous day. I wasn't mad that I didn't make more money. I was just proud of what I did, proud of how the day went, proud of the people around me for calling out good names in the room. I was happy that I got to go to jiu-jitsu and train. I then went back to jiu-jitsu again that night and did a second round and got beat up some more, so that was a good time. All that to say, came into today. A lot of good names were being called in the morning. I think a lot of stuff wasn't working. I think some stuff was. But here's something that was working. GME. I haven't finished my journaling yet, so I don't remember which all of these I traded. I journal with Trader Sync. I enter all my trades in, all the strategies I took, and review them. I'm considering going over those trades at the end of the week or something like that with people in this room. But I pretty much caught most of this move in GME. I don't remember who called it out, but ended up catching definitely some of this and sold, some of this and sold, some of this. And I was basically catching every time. Here's what I noticed. Because I was able to orient myself, here's what I noticed. Here's how I see names in the morning that move. And here's what I look for. So there's no stochastics on this chart, so I don't think that's necessarily always important. But look, it goes up, hits the 8, or pretty much hits the 8 on this candle. Boom, works. Pulls down here, doesn't hit the 8, starts to go up. I know that I bought this candle. I remember doing it. Made money. I was getting really good, I think, price improvement. I think everybody was getting price improvement. I play these breakouts. Might have held the whole breakout, I'm not sure. Again, haven't done my journaling. Okay, so it goes down here. It hits the 8. What do I remember from the last time? Because I wasn't getting sucked into this stuff, what was I doing? I remembered this. What happened last time? Because there were other names being traded. Saba was being traded. I traded that. AMC was being traded. A few other names were being traded. I don't remember all the names. But I remembered, hey, last time it hit the 8, it worked. So this had happened. I'm like, am I scared that this went down? No. Look at this candle. This is a know your limit 8. Yeah, you got some elevated volume, so it's kind of sus. You might want to watch out. But let's try it light size because look what happened last time. I try it. It works. Bam. Now that's seared in my memory, and I play these breakouts. I don't remember if I played every pullback or if I held the whole thing or held some of it. I don't have the trades in front of me. It fails. This happens. I think to myself, okay, what happened last time we had a 1 minute breakout? Remembered it again, and I was trading other names too. I was jumping back and forth. Sorry if the mic's choppy. I'm trying, but so sorry. So back here again. I remembered what happened last time it hit the 8, and I'm just being repetitive because this is that whole observe, orient, decide, act, and this is how quickly it goes when I have these 9 charts up. I don't have them all put to the right time, but I'm looking at all these 9 charts of what was happening at 9 o'clock or 9:30 in the morning, and I'm having to quickly make those decisions. I can quickly make those decisions because I'm making good trades. I'm trading smart. I don't have the toxicity. I'm not mad that I did or didn't miss the next move. So here we go. Hits it again. Next 1 minute breakout. This one doesn't break up, and this one doesn't break out. Don't know if I took any front run losses here or not. But I'm like, okay, didn't break out. Let's wait for it to hit the 8 again. It hits the 8 again. So I know I caught almost all of this move. I think I got a little over 3 points here. And I'm not going to say that the size I took, but because I had 1, 2, 3, and this was the 4th breakout on what was a good candle, I thought, and I was getting good PI, I was able to use OODA loop, use that decision-making process, be detached, not emotionally. At this point, I was not thinking about my size. At no point did I think, oh man, this is too many contracts. What happens if I lose? It was literally not a second thought in my head when I clicked the button to buy the size that I bought. And I probably bought as it started ticking off the 8. So I probably bought somewhere in here. And I was ready to sell in an instant's notice. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything. I was just watching it. And I bought. I was probably roughly instantly green. And then I just held. And I caught, I don't know how much of this move. I caught a lot of this move. Probably sold in here, honestly, because I can see how much this moved. I probably would have sold in this drop, and I might have bought like half or quarter size on this pop here. And that was basically it as far as the most of my size. That put me at a pretty green day. And it was just being able to observe what has happened in that stock previously. I don't remember the other names I traded, but I did the same thing in other names. Netflix actually was working early. I made money in Netflix today because it was doing the same thing. Every time it came down, and for Netflix, it was hitting the 21. Every single time it hit the 21, it popped. So in my head, I was like, yo, every time it hits the 21, I'm going to buy it. So every time it hit the 21, I bought it. Yeah, Rose says she made 6 or 7 points. Yeah, for sure. It was, I did some out of the money ones because I took so much size. I didn't want the spread. But yeah, it was a 6 or 7 point move easily. I think I caught 4 or 5 of that point. But so then here it pulls down. I'm pretty sure the stochastics weren't good in here. I don't remember what I did. I might have bought this 1 minute breakout because it almost hit the 1. It came down here, bust down. It doesn't matter after this point. I know I didn't do all of these, and I started not doing them because you can kind of see it not working. You can see some of this elevated volume. You know, I was already up. You know, what I thought was massive. And then GME was pretty much done as far as going up. But I actually, because one, I was green, which really helps you not be toxic, I was able to be like, yo, okay, what's happening now? I traded some other names. I scalped Amazon. Amazon was really good, and we'll go over and look at Amazon in a minute and see the same thing. But, you know, I saw it popping, making higher lows. So what did I do? I waited for these pops, and once it popped up in this area, and I think around either, let's see, what time was this at? 10:30, yeah. From 10:30, oh, this one. So I didn't do this one. Or if I did, I only caught the bottom of it. And I was like, okay, Jimmy's probably done. People talked about it's probably failed. It's below VWAP. It's definitely below VWAP now. It's below these trend lines. Let's wait. I don't think I did much with it in here. Might have tried to catch a breakout, but I don't think I did much in here. Wasn't trying to give back my day. It pops up. I remember this part of the day. Came near VWAP, and I just remembered from earlier in the day because I had been doing this relaxed, looking through different trades, trading stuff that was working, observing things. It had not broken above VWAP. It failed to break above VWAP, and I bought the first 1 minute breakdown here. And I scalped this all the way down and made another probably fourth or so of what I made here. So if I made, I'll just use 1,000. If I made 4,000 here, I made 1,000 or 1,500 more here to add on to my day. And I might have played some, and let's see, I played some of these too. So I played this down here. So I played this and this. All because we were able to, as a room, use OODA loop. And OODA loop isn't something you think about necessarily actively, but it is something that you're doing every single time you make a decision. And if anything interrupts any part of that decision, interrupts the feedback you're getting, your emotions, anything, if you start looking at your money, I didn't know that I was having the best day ever. Like I had an idea, but I didn't know that until like I was pretty much done. And as soon as I noticed that, and I thought that in my head, like, yo, wait a minute, what have I done? I went to the driving range and I went to play golf. Why? I had to detach because even happy emotion, I was like, I'm feeling good. I made 2 or 3 trades that they weren't the smartest. I didn't really lose in them. I didn't do anything. PI was pretty good. I was like, you know what? In a sense, for right now, the market was done. It was before the FOMC went off. It was before all of that. So I didn't have that. I knew that was coming up. The market was going to get wild or whatever. It was going to pop and drop. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't care what happens the rest of the day. And I don't need to be sitting here trying to make more because at this point in my day, I know there is something that is going to interrupt my observe, orient, decide, act thought process. And that is, I'm having the best day of my year. Okay, I've got to stop. Not because I can't make money if stuff's working, but because I am now at a higher percent chance of losing. I am now at a higher percent chance of giving back gains, of tilting. And it's not worth it. It's also not worth it because you're going to lose money the way that you make money. The way you make money is the way you lose money. If I come in and I make my money tilting, I'm going to lose my money tilting. And losing your money, usually you're going to lose a lot more than you gain. So I might have had a good day or a better day if I started doing that, but I bet someday later this month or even tomorrow, I would have a much worse day because I'm reinforcing bad habits. So it's very important. And because of that, all right, let's see. Let's go to Amazon. And because of that, I was able to play Amazon later in the day, and I made another, I made another couple $1,000s playing Amazon at the end of the day. Right when I got back from golfing, from the driving range, working on my irons. So Amazon had popped. I had remembered beforehand that it was working. Rose had talked about it. Other people had talked about it. So I knew that Amazon was a thing. I knew that it had been working and price improvement and fidelity had been good. Same thing for Tesla. So I came back, didn't have too much time, or maybe with 30 minutes left in the day. And I was able to look at the market because I was detached, wasn't overly emotional, didn't really think about my day. I was a little tired from hitting the golf balls, and just caught a few of these in Amazon. In case you can't see it, caught a few of these little scalp breakouts in Amazon. PI was good. I was like, okay, I'm good. Then someone came to my door. The nanny's father came to the house. Went, talked to him. It was good. It was a good time, and that was my day. So not to ramble about the same thing over and over, but the idea is, if something is blocking your ability to do that, if something is blocking your ability to use the OODA loop, if you're not able to detach because you're having a great day, a bad day, because the market's choppy, stop, back up, find something else to do for a little bit. Don't trade. Wait for some call outs and somebody to be like, hey, this is working. Hey, this name is good. Don't try to find names yourself. Why don't you want to find names yourself? Because you have something else, an outside factor that's motivating you to make money or to take trades that might not just be, hey, this is a strategy I make money in. This is a setup I like. This is something that is working. This is something other people are talking about. Your motivation could just be, I want to make more money. I need to do this. I need to do that. Something that's outside of what you should be trading, and it's going to affect you negatively. And you might get lucky, but more often than not, you're not. More often than not, you're going to lose. And if you looked at the accumulation of the year, you're going to lose overall. Taking those types of setups and trading mentally that way, if I can say it. So I'm not the most elegant of speakers, but so that is what I've noticed over the last few days, and I've talked to several people this week. So if you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. There's probably been, I'd say, over five, six, seven people that have been reaching out, that have been talking to about different stuff like this, how to prevent these tilts. I'm doing good. I'm having these bad days. Like I have these consistent days, and all of a sudden I blow up. What's that factor in that losing day? Is there something that is interfering with your ability to trade intelligently? Is there something that is affecting your ability to see the setups and to take the setups? To be like, yo, yeah, this is what it is, this is what it is. Can you identify the days you make money and the days you don't make money, how you're trading mentally, what the difference is in yourself mentally? Were you able to detach, to see these setups and to be like, yo, this is working, this is working. And some days it's so easy, and other days it's hard, and sometimes it's the market, and sometimes it's us. And we need to identify that. And Rose is saying that for her it was Tesla, and last week, it was me for last week too. I made money in Tesla on Monday and Tuesday. And after that, I think I took a bunch of losses in it on Wednesday. There was no PI. It was running up to all-time highs. I couldn't make money in it. No matter what I did, I couldn't make money. So you know what I did? I was like, I'm done. I'm not trading Tesla. And I've done no more than like 5 contracts in Tesla a few times when everybody in the room's like, yeah, there's good PI. And I think today I made a little bit in it because there was some decent PI, and it made some big moves. But that was it, and I just leave it alone. I'm going to make money outside of Tesla. I don't care because of how toxic Tesla has been and how much mental energy it took away from me last week. If I would have stuck with Tesla and kept trying to force this, I can guarantee you I wouldn't have had as big of a day as I had today, and as big of a day as big as a week as I've had. I know other people have had those days too. I've talked to some people that has talked about that they're having one of their best weeks or their best days and stuff like that because of just different things that they're trying, different things that they're doing, not getting sucked into Tesla, because Tesla's really got a lot of our focus. And it's not that there's some people that have probably made more money than I'll make in a year, in a day or two, trading Tesla, but it doesn't matter. That's not me. I agree. Yeah, you can't take bigger size. So that's part 2 of detach, and I kind of wanted to include OODA loop in that, and how detaching allows you to do the observe. And without detaching, without being able to detach and make the proper observation, you've got tunnel vision. You're only basically orienting yourself, and you're not observing. So instead of looking around, let's use the fighter or the airplane pilot, instead of looking down and looking around, making sure you've got the right altitude, making sure that all this other stuff is right, making sure somebody's got your back, you're locked in on this one thing, and you're so locked into it that you smash your plane into the ground. Or in the case of a trader, you smash your account into the ground because you're so focused on one thing that's literally about to kill you. Or can you take a step back? Can you observe? That detach has to happen. Can you be detached in a sense when you're trading? And Jess said it, we were chatting earlier before here, the size. Their size has been so low that they didn't care, and I do this too, whether we win or lose. It's not even a thought, basically, is the size you want to take, to where you don't have the size. Size is something that can mess with you. If you're taking too much size, your decision process is going to be messed up. If I'm worrying about my size, that's 3 or 4 mental checks I have to get through before I even make a trade. That slows me down. I get a worse entry. I might get bad price improvement. Then I'm toxic. Then I'm like, man, I lost this and I shouldn't have done, and all this other stuff. No, you got to be able to jump in and take a trade with almost without thinking about it, actively, because it's just so much a part of your OODA loop. It's just so much a part of that that you don't even think about it. And that is what has allowed me to be successful through Tesla screwing with my head last week and like making me just like, come on, like almost getting angry at it because I couldn't make money in it. And I noticed that, and I'm talking about it because it affected me. I know it's affected other people because I've got the emails and the messages, and um, I think it's something that we need to identify in ourselves. And when you identify it, take that block out so you can, saying it again, observe. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to properly orient, decide, and act and make money consistently. And you're just going to end up getting wrecked. So that's my spiel for today. I didn't record my screen, or I would have shared how I traded. I don't know if I would have shared how I traded GME. Maybe it was. But I could have showed how I traded some stuff. I didn't. I thought I clicked record. I didn't on my screen this morning, so I didn't record it. That's why there's not a lot of movement here. It's just a talking head without a head. I guess I should have just shared my video. But so that's my spiel for today. That was GME early. I thought the big thing in GME early for those of us who were playing it was identifying, and you should do this with every name. What happens when a name hits the level? So going back to GME here, just one more time for those who might have missed it. Also one more time, because repetition is the best way to learn something. Hit the 8, worked. Hit the 8, worked. Hit the 8, worked. Hit the 8, worked. Hit the 8, oh look, worked a little bit, but then tanked hard. This is sus, leaving it alone, not touching it. You kind of should have been worried when this bar here was happening. Be like, yo, I don't think I'm going to get follow through. I need to sell the next pop quickly if it happens, at least some of it. Pops down, hits VWAP, and so now it broke the 8. Okay, now I'm not worried about that 8 trigger. What's it going to do on VWAP? What's it going to do on the 21? That's how you kind of change through your thought process, identifying what's happened. And this happened in Netflix today. I made money in Netflix. This happened in AFRM. This happened in other names. Can you identify that while it's happening in a stock? I think you can do that with the rotation crew here. I think you can do that with the VTF, and I think you can do that, but you can only do that, and you can only properly identify strategies and make money in strategies if you are observing, orienting, making the proper decision, and acting all very quickly, and you don't have a block there, and you're not getting tunnel vision. So, for the second time, that is my spiel for today. I'll take any questions. I'll scroll back through chat and see if I missed anything. But if you have any questions, type them out. Anybody who has mic access, please, if you have thoughts, feel free to jump in, to add to it. Good job coming back, Sufyan. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really like what you went over, Gator. I think that's just awesome. And I can just say, like with the Tesla toxicity, for me, it was pretty severe last week. To see something run up so much, and you catch a few on it, but then for me anyway, I couldn't scalp that thing. Because I would end up taking more losses than you make a few on it, and then I end up giving it all back, and then going red, and you're so tunnel vision and so focused on it because it's going up, and you can't capitalize on it, so it's so frustrating. And then you're just like, I'm not even going to trade this, but then you're already upset. You're already, or if you didn't trade it, and then you just see it going up even higher, then I noticed with me, it was making me want to make the money I was missing on Tesla on something else that wasn't nearly as strong or wasn't nearly as good of a trade. And trying to, it was really very psychologically messed up because I literally emotionally wanted to make the money that I thought I was missing on Tesla on something else and take bigger size on that something else because Tesla was running up. It was just, it was just like crazy, crazy thinking. But that's how it works emotionally. So being able to identify that is really important. And that right there is already disrupting your decision making process and you are at a disadvantage for your next trades until you are able to recenter yourself and detach from that FOMO, basically, and and just look at the trade independently for what it is and not what something else is doing.
100%. Like your nail right on the head. Are you did you leave Tesla alone after that? Like how did you deal with your FOMO from missing it out? What did you do? Obviously you did the scalping, but how did you get over that and come back to trading with a clean mental slate?
I'm pretty persistent, so which is not always a good thing. So I definitely sized down. I went way lower, but I still couldn't make it to work. So then the next day or the next day, I tried it some more and I still couldn't make it work. And then I'm just like, it's not worth it. And I just stopped trying. And that was the best thing I did is when I just stopped trading it and was just focusing on the things that I do well that does make, that does not have that stress. And I said, you know what, that's more worth it to just make a little bit on something here than to try to be forcing this with Tesla. And I just left it alone. Or if I did like one or two trades that actually made money on, I was like, that's it. I am not touching this thing again.
Yeah. And what you just said is what I told pretty much everyone who emailed me or who spoke to me in Discord or WhatsApp or anywhere else that said, that this was happening. What you just said, I told everyone, stop, do not touch Tesla until it pulls down or you see everybody else making money in it. Find other names, find other strategies, things that are working. Um, Otherwise, you're just going to get toxic and tilt. So, and I think that is the answer is identifying that, like you said, in yourself and being able to address it, being able to get rid of that block, even if it means taking a day off trading or something like that to get rid of that block, whatever you have to do it. And Jess, to your question, it's a mental stop for me. It's not a number stop. I don't have a number that if I hit, other than like wiping my account out, which I'm not gonna do. But other than that, I there might be a number if I hit it, I'd be like, yo, I gotta stop. But it's mental for me. So I stop trading or something when I notice that mental block in my OODA loop going up or down. So if I'm trading and I make a ton and I notice that mental block coming in, that's when I stop. Same thing on the negative side. Once I notice that, I stop. If I can sit back down and not think about making my money back and just like casually look for the next trade, not bending, just here's a trade, here's a trade, here's a trade, um, and I can do it without any wild emotions in it, that's when I would come back to trading that day. If I can't do that, then I don't trade. And if the strategies aren't working, then I don't trade. But I don't have a number for better or worse. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but I find if I make a number, I will hit that number on the downside all the time.
I'll just chime in here with like Rose's story really resonated with me. I definitely had a really hard time with Tesla last week in that it's really hard to watch a name that you've made so much money on make these huge moves and not be able to capitalize on it. And this has been an incredible opportunity for growth, not only to basically do what you're talking about, Gator, whereas really get back into that OODA loop mentality and breaking your focus and looking at the broader market. But also, I think we have to realize that trading more names and realizing that there are other opportunities in the market really does make us better traders. It's forcing me to take different styles of trades than maybe I'm accustomed to. And ultimately, that's going to be what defines us in the long term as traders is, are we going to be able to adapt to the market as it continually changes? Because Tesla really illustrates that, you know, these algos out there, like when something's hot like this, they can make something run up like this and it can be totally impossible for us to capitalize on. And for us to be able to break our focus and realize that there are so many other opportunities in the market is such an important thing. So I really enjoyed your show tonight, Gator, and it's very interesting to hear, other people struggling with the same things that I was struggling with. And it's great to know that we're all growing and adapting as a result of it.
Thanks, CT. Yeah, 100%. Um, you really do have to learn and you have to adapt if you want to get better. If the only thing you trade is one name, you know, what happens when that name stops working? What happens when stuff gets hard? I'm not saying it's never going to come back, but don't get bent, at
Well,
least too hard.
I've had that conversation with other people in the newsbeat room, like that were struggling, like, oh well, all my money's made in this one name, and I've crunched the numbers, so this is the only name I'm going to focus on. And I would come back to them and tell them, well, that name's not always going to be there every single day. So, learning how to trade other names is beneficial, so that when that name's not performing the way you need it to, you have other things you can do. And it's so funny that, like, I gave that advice to someone maybe 8 months or 12 months ago, and here I am having to kind of relearn that that same lesson myself.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, I say a lot of the same stuff sometimes, but repetition, and we forget the things that we learn until it kind of hits us. Sometimes we often forget it. We just don't remember, or we think that we like think we're better than the lessons or the rules sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And the more confident we get, and the better we get to know these names, we sometimes will break rules and get away with it, bending or whatever. And there's an upside to that, and there's a downside to that. So, I mean, for me today, I didn't touch Tesla at all, and all morning long I didn't touch Tesla, and it's the best day I've had in weeks. So that is something I'm going to pay a lot of attention to in the coming days.
Good deal. And I agree.
One la- one quick thing is, I noticed for me, um, where I do the best is like following the momentum. And when that momentum kind of dies down, and maybe you take a few frontline losses and you're giving back some of your morning, there's the psychological thing, especially if you have like a whole number or something, and now you just went red or you just lost half, or whatever. You want to make that back. There's like this psychological emotion where, like, okay, I was just up $500 and now I'm at break even, now I'm back at zero, or you want to get back to that 500 so quickly and so badly that you will, that it's something you have to keep yourself in check with, because, or if you go red like 500, you just want to get back to break even, or you just want to, just get that number. If you were at 1,000 and then you went down to 500, you just want to get back to 1,000. That's something that I've had to really observe, because that should not be a motivation for staying around and trying to take trades, or when maybe the market's not the right conditions. But it's totally based on this emotion of a number and of what I just was. Then a few trades later, oh, I'm down here. Well, I just want to get back to where I was. And I've given back my whole day before. I've gone red from just trying to get back to the highs I was at in the morning, and not being okay with just leaving. Okay, I gave back a quarter or whatever, and just leaving at that, because the conditions aren't as easy as they were earlier. Things have changed. So that's, for me, has been something I've had to try to put into perspective. And um, so that's something to be aware of as well.
Yeah, I definitely, what I'll do, Rose, is like, I know a lot of people don't keep track of their P&L. I tend to keep track of my P&L because I like to lock it in early. So what I'll do is, if I'm up a decent amount of money, what I consider for what's a good amount of money for me, and let's say I give back 10% of my day, I'm like, tearing down massively. And if I get down to like 20%, I'm really thinking about quitting for the day, just because I know how awful that feels to give back a big chunk of your day. And so I have sort of little checks that I give myself throughout the morning. And, you know, we all know how bad it feels to even give back half of your day. So for me personally, I like to kind of keep a track of my P&L once I'm up some money, and sort of like really tear down if I'm starting to give back. And you also have to remind yourself that look, if you're starting to give back money, like probably market conditions are changing. And if market conditions are changing, like, are you going to keep doing the same thing expecting a different result? Like, there's something that, the market changes very quickly in the morning, and we need to be cognizant of that and realize that if we're starting to give money back, it's probably not random. It's probably that, something is happening in the market, and we need to be sensitive to those changes in the market and learn how to like hit the brakes when that happens.
And being able to properly orient yourself to the market, observe the market without that psychological damage, or that, I also watch my P&L, generally speaking. Like, I know if I'm up or down money, and I roughly know where I'm at. I've got it on my Fidelity layout. But so I'm with you. I do look at it. I do know where I'm at. I like to do that. But it's still that decision making process. Can you step back when something's not working? And can you say, yo, this isn't working? I'm going to, if you're a fighter jet or the military, are you going to throw more lives at it? Or are you going to throw more money at it? Be like, no, watch this. This is going to work. I'm going to throw triple the size. I'm going to slam it head on. I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to make my day back. Or do you do the jujitsu thing, the smart military thing? Do you attack from the side? Do you change your direction? Why go what's not working? Let's find something that's working. Let's size down a few small trades over here, see if I can win in this name with this strategy. What about over here with this? What about these names? What's happening in chat? What's happening elsewhere? Are you able to do what CT is saying, what Rose is saying, adapt, change in the middle of the day to help yourself save money, observe those changes in the market? If you're not able to do that, then you're going to have some really bad days. And we're all going to have bad days because we all forget to do that. CT, myself, Rose, everybody that trades forgets to do that sometimes. And it's why we're here trying to learn together and get better. And to answer Chase's question, and CT, Rose, y'all might have different. I'll answer this, and then if anybody else wants to jump in. My rule, so for those of you who can't see Discord, if you're watching this on YouTube, and Chase, go back to YouTube later and go to about the 50-minute mark, or let's see how long I've been, 52-minute mark, and you'll see my, I can only share one screen, but on the YouTube, I'll have my 4 charts with the stochastics and stuff going up. So this Tesla run up, Chase is asking about, it seems like it was running up, it was going up. There's no good C strategy. If I was playing it, I would have been doing every 1 minute breakout basically until it didn't work. That strategy I talked about. How do I know when to stop doing it and not take front run losses? Is if you're looking at this and when you watch it on YouTube, the stochastic is at the very top and crossing down, and it's been at the top for a while. So in this area, right about here on the chart, the stochastic, oh, actually right here on the chart, wow. So for this long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 1 minute stochastic has been all the way at like the 90-80% level. And then you have a 1 minute breakout that doesn't go higher. It goes down. It rips down pretty hard. Not a lot of volume. It looks digestive, so you can kind of take it. So maybe you front run this one and it starts going up. You make her lose here. And it kind of breaks out but fails. It kind of breaks out but fails. And if you look at, again, the YouTube, you'll see the crosshair. The stochastic on the 2 minute is still at the top. It's been at the top for a while. The 1 minute's been at the top for a while. It's starting to tick down. It didn't hit the 8, so your Mark 1 broke out and failed. So you don't have another Mark 1. There is no more Mark 1 because you had a failed breakout. So failed breakout, didn't work, I don't hit it again. At this point, I'm 100% done with this name. Like, I'm done with it until the next trigger sets up. So when's the next trigger? So there's no other C strategy. There's no C strategy here. Failed Mark 1, there's no other Mark 1s. You need a know your limit 8 to hit, an 8 moving average to hit. Can't tell if it hits here. I think it does. This candle would have been hard because it's one of these inside candles. I'm not looking at a 2-minute. So the 2-minute would have been here. So your green takes red worked. So you say the next one is a green takes red, which is the next strategy. Green takes red's right here. So you have a 1-minute portal to a green takes red. That works. If you can't make money on that, you did something wrong. So I don't see your trades. You'd have to send me, like I said, if you journal your trades, if anyone does and you send them to me, I can better check them out. But right there, you get a green takes red. That works. That's a C strategy. That's effective. You also had an 8, so it hit the 8, and you have a green takes red. That's a C strategy. That worked. It broke down. There's no other C strategy. You could say that you have a Mark 1. Let's see if a Mark 1 works. Or maybe if you want to call that like a chart reset. We're down here. We're kind of chopping around. We hit the 8. It fails to break out. It breaks out and goes down. These candles are chopping inside. I'm not front running in here. And I only allow myself one front run loss per candle. If I do more, it's a bad trade. So one front run loss. So let's say I lost one on this one and I lost a few cents. It kind of broke out but didn't. I take this one. It breaks out but rips down quick and I lose. That's a failed know your limit 8, a failed Mark 1, and it didn't even hit. I'm looking at a 2-minute chart. If you look at the YouTube, my 4 charts, there's no green takes red here. There's no green takes red until there's a few like it comes close, but there's really no green takes red that works until here, and you can kind of catch this. But honestly, this is just choppy, and at this point I would be done with Tesla. Why would I be done with Tesla? It's not working. It's not breaking out. So I wouldn't play any of these. Like if I take 1 or 2 front run losses, it goes through and rips back, and all the candles are pretty much the size of the previous candle. I'm not playing that. Screw that noise. Like that's why I make my money here, or I try to maybe make some on these pops, and then I leave all this alone. So on the stochastics, Tesla is setting up. Let me move my chart so you can go back. You can watch it on YouTube and you can check the chart. There's no other technical Tesla play that's a C strategy until here. So here you have the first 2-minute 8 test right in here. These 2 bars hit the 2-minute 8. So all this is not a C strategy. This is you wanting it to pop, not a C strategy. Here is your first 2-minute 8 test. And for those who don't know, C strategy, simple, easy, effective is what that stands for. Breaks down. You get your first green takes red at the top here. So this is your first one. You get a little bit of a chop. You also have a Mark 5 here. So right here, you have several. It's not a Mark 5. It's a 5-minute breakout. So this is not a Mark 5, it's a 5-minute breakout. You have a 5-minute breakout, some little 1-minute candles here. So basically anywhere in this area, if you break out and start ticking higher, you could take a trade because you're kind of breaking out of this range. Honestly, this is probably very hard to play, and it might have been a failed trade. And if that's the case, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I missed the trade. This pop happens. I'm like, okay, look at this big pop in Tesla. It's near day highs. I'd have to look. That's probably close to day highs. It was day highs. So, okay, big pop in Tesla. Not a lot of volume, but let's see what happens. Maybe I try to buy the next 1-minute breakout. I buy the next 1-minute breakout. Maybe I make money. If I'm not making money here, I'm out. And I don't trade any of this. If it does go up, I'll answer real quick, Rose. If it does go up, I scalp it. I take the money. I wait. This never broke out, so it pulls back. It hits the 8. Okay, it hits the 8. What's that? That's a know your limit 8 after a pop out. Not a really great one because you didn't have massive volume, but you could take it. It definitely had some increasing volume. So it hit the 8. Okay. The next trade is a decent trade. I could take a 1-minute scalp. You take this 1-minute breakout after hitting the 8, after popping off the 8, coming back down. Look at that. Boom. You catch that move. Hopefully you sell. And then we go back here. It comes back down. There's no breakout here. Maybe you take a front run loss here. Hopefully you don't. 1-minute breakout. That's $1.50 pop. So, and you can see that on the other chart if you look at it. And then I probably don't play most of this. Honestly, it's too close to the end of the day. Honestly, it'd probably be next to impossible to make money. Maybe, at least for me, end of the day, depreciation and options, like playing Tesla with 5 minutes left. You do it, I'm not. So to answer your question, hopefully that answers your question, Chase. There's not that many C strategies here. The C strategy is only the first time something happens. And if you're front running losses, you just should be taking less, or just maybe limit yourself to one every 2 minute candle. And so that will cut back. So one every 2 minute candle, or every red 2 minute candle, will stop your front run losses. And it'll make it where when you do catch the breakout, you're not just making back what you lost. So Rose, when the stochastic's up at the top, and if you go like it's over that 80% line, and it's over that 80% line for a while, then usually that means you're going to get a pull down at some point relatively soon. So you should start being cautious. It doesn't mean I don't take anything, but it's just like for here, for on this chart, stochastic was up at the roughly 100%, or 90 plus percent starting here. And then you had all of this go up, and even when it's up here, the stochastic is starting to cross down. So you're getting a lot of downward movement in the stochastic in this area, and it's been over the 80% line, trading sideways or up and down for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 or 6 minutes. It's been up there, so it's kind of the indicator of, hey, you need a breather in this area. The stock might pull down to a moving average. Maybe you don't trade it until you get a legit C strategy. So that's for Chase, for your question. That's how I would play that, and that's how I would answer that. Yeah, you're welcome, Rose. And that's kind of my indicators for when a stock needs to breathe and possibly hit a moving average. On a longer time frame, like on the 2 minute, when it crosses down 2 and it's starting to cross down, I look for a 2 minute moving average. 5 minutes a little bit different. So we've been going for about an hour. I'll answer Jess's question. Or anybody have any, before I answer Jess's, any questions, CT, Rose, or Josh, anybody else in here about the answers, or anything that you've heard tonight, anything you want to add? And then I'll answer Jess's if that's okay. And we'll close it up for tonight. I can do another show, not tomorrow, probably because of jiu-jitsu, but I can do a show Friday night if y'all are down.
I might have something to add quickly to Jess's question after you're done addressing it, if you don't cover the same material, Gator. But other than that, I think you did a great job tonight.
Thanks. You can go ahead and answer. If you got something right now, go ahead and answer it. And I might just agree with you. I've been talking. People can listen to you say it. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I would say, Jess, is that if that's a problem that you're struggling with, you probably should stop yourself when before you get to -5 to 10K. So if that's like a recurring theme in your trading, if that was happening to me, I would start like cutting myself off when I got to -2K, for instance, or maybe -3K. If I had a really good green to red day ratio, like where I was, 80%, 90% green days, then maybe I'd say $3,000 is my drop dead stop trading rule. But you can't that's not a sustainable way of trading if you're going to let yourself dig a hole that big when your green days are only 1,000 or 2,000. So that's my input, Gator.
I agree with CT. And this is kind of a decision that you have to make mentally for yourself. If I had a $30,000 account, and I did this last month, and I was trading with that, my stops and what I would be trying to make would be a lot different. I didn't move my account down to 30 this month. So it's not. That's like my rules are a little bit different, but it would be what CT is saying. Like you need to find a way to, if it was 30,000, I'd probably, I would be trading so small that it would probably be hard for me to go more than 2,000 down type thing. Like I wouldn't be taking names or contracts I could move. I'd be trying to build that cushion, finding names that worked for first. I would probably say if I had a $30,000 account, it'd probably be 2,000 mentally for me. Would probably be where I would be at. That's just me, but I don't have a specific number. But it's usually because I get to the mental place about that time. And for some times, the mental place is when I notice that block is 1,000, even now, like I could be down $1,000 or $2,000 tomorrow after having the biggest day, and that mental block could come in, and I need to identify that and stop then. And that's why I don't have that block. So if you are consistently, let's say, your green days are 5 to 10,000, and you, or let's say, for the, let's say, let's see, I'm trying to understand part of your question. Oh, so it's like one. So let's say you're a $1,000 trader. That generally speaking, your average, so you have higher and lower, but your median, your middle range is $1,000 wins, and you're down 2 grand. You notice a mental block. If I was talking to Little Gator, and Little Gator was trading, and he usually, on average, because he's journaling and stuff and knows where he's at, is averaging about $1,000 a day, and it's Wednesday, and let's say I hit that $2,000 the 2 days before, and now I just gave up my week early in Wednesday. What do I do? If I was talking to myself, I would be like, okay, um, I've noticed that obviously, so I noticed that I just gave back my account. If I notice that, that means there's something wrong in my, and not something wrong in my head, but it's now affecting me mentally. Yo, I'm down 2 grand. Like, and I probably would have noticed that before I hit 2 grand, to be honest. I probably would have noticed it before, so hopefully I stopped then, but let's say I didn't. At that point, I step away. At that point, I stop. At that point, I figure out what I need to do to reorient myself. And it might be not trading that day at all. It might be saying, hey, I gave up my week. To fix myself, I know what I have to do as a person, because we each have different mental abilities to trade. We have the ability to handle losses differently, to recover from them. So first, it's a know yourself question. Know yourself, what you can handle, what you can't, what you've done in the past. But I would stop, and maybe I come back, maybe I don't. If I do, maybe I'll give myself another $500. I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna give myself another $500. I'm gonna size down to a quarter of my normal size, change my defaults. I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna see if there's a few good trades. I'm gonna look at the market. I'm gonna make a few good trades, few small scalps. I'm not trying to make it all back. And if I lose on one or two trades after coming back, I'm done. I'm logging off. I'm getting toxic again, because I know, and I'm telling you right now because I've done it. If I'm down like that and I make a few losing trades, then it gets to me instantly. So I just stop. I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I quit at that point, as it were. So just to add on, because CT said, basically what I would say, and I would agree with him, is you might give yourself a little bit more room if you can reorient yourself. If it's going to make you toxic, and if sizing into a trade or doing something else would make you toxic, then stop. So know yourself, know what you mentally can handle, and don't put yourself in a excuse me, a situation that would make you toxic and tilt more. And maybe give yourself a tighter leash with smaller size, micro goals. Mark used to say, get some micro goals in, a few small trades, winning trades. That builds up that mental energy, that mental fortitude. Be like, okay, I got this. I still know how to trade. It's just some stupid stuff earlier. I made mistakes. Everybody happens. Let's just trade smart. And I try to change my outlook from I'm going to make all this back now to, hey, let's pretend this is a new day. This hour is a new day. If I make $500 back today, that's $500 I don't have to pay back tomorrow. And then I'm green on the week, or whatever it is. And that's kind of the mental change that I would take in trading the rest of that day, is try to look at it as, hey, any trade I make now that works is just money I don't have to make back later. Small scalps, micro goals. Let's get some wins together so I can end the day green and end the day positive, as opposed to, and in a positive note, whether or not my trading's green, but my mentality is green going into the next day, or going into the end of the day. So I just to add on to what CT said, is to protect yourself like that. Maybe set a nearer stop. If you get to it and you start thinking about it, then reorient yourself, size down, micro goals, micro wins, find something that's working, be able to identify it, and then trade that. I don't know if hopefully that's a kind of a satisfactory answer, and a good add-on to what CT had to say.
That's actually great, Gator. And additionally, I would say that I do kind of the same thing you do, in that if I cut myself off, let's say I'm down, 2 grand, and I'm like, you know what, this whatever I'm doing is not working, I need to take a break. If I come back in the afternoon, I will do exactly what you just talked about. I'll have like a defined number in my head, like I'm going to give myself $500, and that defined number is going to be a small percentage of what I lost earlier in the day. And I'm going to say, you know what, if I can make some money back, great. And I'm with tiny tier trades. But if I lose another this however much money, 500 bucks, let's say, like 25% of what I lost earlier, that's it. That's my, like, if I am going to come back and try to reorient and, do the micro goals thing, I think it's very important to do what you said, which is to have a clearly defined number that you will not go past at that point. And that's a great point that you made.
And also, when you have a day like that where you lose multiple, a pretty bad day, like a whole week's worth of your normal daily gains, um, the following day, you really need to, for me, I really need to start fresh. I really need to not think about yesterday or the amount and size down. Definitely size way down and just try to have micro goals of, even like half what you normally make, and just to get a consistent string of green profitable days back. And then you don't even think about, oh, I lost 10,000. It takes me normally a week or 2 weeks to make 10,000. And okay, I made 500. You don't compare the 500 you made to the 10,000 you lost yesterday. You just know that, okay, if I just consistently start getting back green, I'm okay with that, because eventually that all adds up, or then you'll have a really good day, and then before you know it, you're right back, on track. So it's really important the following day, or if you don't take a day off between a big day like that, a lot of times it's best to take a day off, um, to just come back in fresh with micro goals with everything tiered down.
Thanks, Rose. Yeah, 100%. You know, what you're saying, spot on. I completely agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. So for the show tonight, guys, it's been a little over an hour. We can always just sit here and talk, but I think for one show that's good. We can come back and hit it again. I'm going to consider sharing. I don't know. I'll talk to some guys about it. I don't know if I want to share P&L or if I can edit it out to where you can't see what I made, but can see percentage and different stuff like that. And maybe on Friday night we can do a show. We can have like a fireside show. We can sit here. We can talk about the week. We can talk about everything, what we thought, things we want to go into next week, and just kind of hang out, chat some. So probably not doing a show tomorrow unless something comes up that we need to talk about. I'm down to do one Friday night. So I'll see y'all all tomorrow, trading in here in the Discord and in T3. Had a great time tonight. Thank you for everybody who contributed, for the questions, for Rose, CT. Love talking with y'all. Let's do it again. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great evening. And in the words of a very wise man, happy trading, make money. FYI, this will all be uploaded to YouTube and in the educational section of this Discord. See you guys tomorrow.